In today's video, we're taking a look at how to go from a PWM charge controller to a MPPT charge controller. Easy and simple. This is so easy, anyone could do everything that we use on the video. We're gonna leave a link on the description. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe. That does help us out a lot. Thank you. So you woke up today and noticed that your batteries are not charged again, and you know you're getting enough sunlight hours. Don't worry, here at the StatUpBox team, we've got your back. Behind the bus, a train ride away, but a back is a back. And in this case, we're using the Renogy Rover Li 30 amp, and you can get this Rover series for 20 amps, 30 amps, 40 amps, 60 amps, or even 100 amps. And no matter if you have this brand or a different brand, the technique will be the same. And the whole reason to change your PWM charge controller to a MPPT charge controller is that the MPPT charge controller is more efficient, which can lead to faster charging time and less sunlight hours. And this particular charge controller can work with sealed batteries, flooded batteries, gel batteries, AGM batteries, and even lithium batteries. It has a die-cast aluminum design that can help with heat dissipation, and we can tell right out the box it has buttons, which means it's not touchscreen. The screen is not backlit, and as you can see, if we flip this around, we have the usual suspects on terminals. We have the negative and positive for solar panels, negative and positive for batteries, and different from others, we have negative and positive for load, which means you can directly connect DC appliances directly to your charge controller. And on the settings of the charge controller, you can even place timers for the DC load or even see the consumption. You can see on the left side we have the temperature sensor probe input port, which the temperature sensor probe is included in the box. And on the right side we have the communication input port for the Bluetooth module, and the Bluetooth module is not included in the kit. And depending on your particular rover, it could be the RS485, which is the BT2, or it could be the RS232, which is the BT1 module. In this particular one is the BT2. So that's something that you want to verify when purchasing your rover, which of the BT modules is the one that your particular system is going to need if you want to connect to Bluetooth. In front we have a rubber cover that covers the screw terminals, and now that we filled your brain with data, we're ready to see what's in the box. The first thing that we get is the temperature sensor probe, which has a cable length of 118 inches and which has a temperature compensation range up to 176 degrees Fahrenheit or 80 degrees Celsius. It's a plug and play system, meaning you can plug and unplug without the need of any tools. And next on the kit we have barbecue paper. I mean your owner's manual and warranty card. I mean barbecue paper. Next we have 4 mounting brackets. Next we have 4 screws and washers, and the mounting brackets are optional. You can always mount your rover directly to your mounting surface. The only difference is that when installing, you're going to have to trace out where the holes are located before mounting. The great thing about installing it with the brackets is it's going to move your screw location to the side so it can be easier to screw or drill in your mounting surface, and it's even going to give you a little bit more space behind the charge controller to dissipate heat even better. If you're going to install your charge controller directly to your mounting surface, then you want to use the holes that look like keyholes with the slot on the hole. If you're doing the brackets, then you want to use the regular holes. The great thing about the brackets as well is that they are already threaded. That means that once you place the screw and the washers through the hole, they're going to thread to the bracket. And always remember the ancient rule passed down generation to generation of lefty loosey, righty tighty. And now by the magic of TB, we have all of them installed. And because the last thing you want on a clear sunny day is to die, safety is the #1 thing. So as an additional precautionary step, we're going to cover our solar panels, and if you have any breakers or switches, we're going to place them to the off position. And now that we survived another day on the DIY world, we're ready to disassemble our PWM controller. We're going to gonna start by removing the wires coming in from our solar panels, and then we're gonna finish off by removing our positive wire. And always remember the ancient rule passed down generation to generation of lefty loosey, righty tighty. And another pro tip, always remember, even if the breakers are off, is always good practice to never let the wires touch each other. If in your case, just like ours, you have a Bluetooth module connected or a battery temperature sensor, you want to go ahead and remove that now. And if in your case your charge controller can be used with the same Bluetooth module, we want to keep that to the side. In our case, we're going to upgrade to the BT2. Now we're going to go ahead and remove the wires coming from our battery. We're going to start with the negative wire and then remove the positive wire. Always remember to use both arms for an even pump. And now that we removed all the wires from our charge controller, we're ready to remove that PWM controller from our wall. And remember, with inflation, saving the screws is always a good idea. And now you've done it. You broke your solar system. No, you didn't. Yes, you did. I mean, you're ready to install your new charge controller. And according to the manufacturer, you want to install the charge controller in an ambient temperature location that it is a minimum of -4 degrees Fahrenheit to a maximum of 140 degrees Fahrenheit, or -20 Celsius to a maximum of 60 degrees Celsius. And according to the manufacturer, the charge controller can be fixed vertically with the terminals facing down to a wall or horizontally to the floor. It should also have a minimum clearance of 6 inches on the top and 6 inches at the bottom for heat dissipation. And remember, if your eyeballs say it's level, it's level. And now that we didn't follow any instructions on the manufacturer's owner's manual, we're ready for the next step, and that is loosening all the screw terminals to have it ready for installation. In our particular case, we're going to loosen the solar panel screw terminals and the battery terminals and not the load terminals. If you're using the load terminals as well, you want to loosen them as well. Whenever you're installing a charge controller for the first time, the first wires you want to install are the battery wires. That's going to turn on your system and protect it once you install the solar panel wires or any other wires. We're going to start with the negative wire first and then end up installing the positive wire. Always remember the ancient rule passed down generation to generation of lefty loosey, righty tighty. And once we feel it tight, that should be good enough. We always want to do the pull test after tightening the screw terminal to make sure that the wire is not coming out. Always a pro tip, after the first use, a day after, you always want to check the wires to see if they need retightening. Once your both wires are connected, your charge controller should turn on. Now that means we're ready to install or insert our solar panel wires. Once again, we're going to start with the negative wire and then our positive wire. Once we feel it tight, that's good enough. We're going to do the pull test to make sure that they're tightly in there. And remember, if you're installing any load wires, you want to go ahead and do that last using the same technique. Now that we have all our wires connected, we're ready to install our temperature sensor probe, and you're going to notice small tabs on the connector that's only going to let you install it one way. Once installed, we're going to take our other side of our temperature sensor probe, which is the actual probe, and we're going to place it right on top of the battery. You can also use tape and place it on the side of the battery. And remember, whichever method you use is up to you. You are the king, queen, both or none of your castle. And lastly, we're going to connect our BT module RS485, which is going to look like a Ethernet cable or a phone cable port. In our case, we're going to install the Bluetooth module right on the panel. If you're going to install yours, you can as well now. And now you've done it. It's alive. You're one step closer to charging your batteries a lot faster. But then you take a look outside and notice it's cloudy. Don't worry, grasshopper, we'll get here. So at the top, you're going to see 4 LED bulb indicators. The first one for solar panel, the second one for battery, the third one for load, and the fourth one for error message or error error code indicator, and that is the one you don't want to see on. And now we're ready. If you have solar panels that are covered, we want to uncover them. If you turned off the breaker, we want to turn it back on. And once you do that, you should see the first bulb LED indicator on the charge controller turn on, which is for your solar panels. And also you should have seen the second one already on, which is for the battery. So it does read that our battery has 12.9 volts, but once we turn on the solar panels, we see it climb up to 14.5 volts, which is also going to start going in charging mode. And you're also going to notice that the arrow that goes from our solar panel to our batteries now has little tabs on the inside, meaning it's charging. When this is emptying, it means it's not. But let's say if we notice on the other arrow on the other side, from the battery to the light bulb has little tabs inside, it means it's discharging. In this case, we don't have the little lines inside of the arrow, so that means it's only charging. No energy is coming out by way of the load side. And as you can see, the light bulb indicator is the indicator for load. Right now is off. We'll show later how it looks when it's on. On the left side at the bottom, we have a 12 volt or 24 volt battery indicator that we'll show later how to program or set that. And on the right side, we have a battery type indicator. We'll also show how to set that later on. Next to the solar panel, you might see a sun icon for daytime and a half moon or quarter of a moon for nighttime. If we notice on the battery icon, the amount of lines we have on the inside are indications of the levels. One line would be from 0 to 24% and 4 lines from 75% to 100%. If we press the up button on the charge controller, we're going to see the different values that are currently going on the system. So the first one, we're going to see the solar panel voltage. Next, we're going to see the charge current on amps. Next, we're going to see the battery voltage. Next, we're going to see the load current. Next, we're going to see the charge capacity. Next, we're going to see the discharge capacity. Next, we're going to see the temperature, which is in Celsius. We're also going to show how to change it to Fahrenheit. Next, we're going to see the load mode, where we set how we want the load to function, either by timer, always on, manual mode, which we're also going to show later on how to set. Next, we have the error code, so it's E0. So if we see a 0 next to the E, that means you're good, no errors. What you don't want to see is any numbers after the E. And then if we press the up button one more time, we'll go back to the main screen again. The first thing that we're going to do is choose our battery. If you hold your right arrow button for a minimum of 3 seconds, we should go into that screen. And remember, you want to do this from the main screen. If we see on the left side, we're going to see the battery voltage. You could choose from 12 volts, 24 volts, or if you leave it in 1224, that would mean it would automatically choose the correct voltage for you. If we press the right arrow button once again, we're going to have battery type, and you can choose from use, which is user defined battery, where you enter your own parameters or values. Then we have FLD, which is flooded battery, gel for gel battery, SLD for sealed lead acid batteries, as well as AGM, and then LI for lithium batteries. Once you set your values, you want to hold the right arrow button for a minimum of 3 seconds. That would get you to the main screen and save any values. Now, if you want to turn on the load side of your charge controller, the only thing that you have to do is press the right arrow button, and you would notice that the light bulb now has little lines around the bulb indicating the load side is on. If you press it again, it would remove the little lines and then indicate that the load side is off. Now, if you want to change the temperature from Fahrenheit to Celsius, you want to go to the temperature screen, hold the right arrow button for a minimum of 3 seconds, and that would change it from Celsius to Fahrenheit, or from Fahrenheit to Celsius, depending in your case. If you want to change your load settings or values, we want to go to the load screen, hold the right arrow button for a minimum of 3 seconds. It's going to start blinking. Then with the up arrow or down arrow, you can change it to your desired value. Let's say 0 is automatic mode. From 1 to 14 is timing mode, and that would be durations in hours, each number. 15 would be manual mode, meaning that the right arrow button, when you press it on and off, is how you control it. 16 would be the no delay mode, and 17 would be the 24-hour mode. And now that we saw the interface, we can see the app, and we're going to use the Renogy Home app. Once installed, you're going to see a plus sign at the top. You want to go ahead and press that, have your Bluetooth on. It's going to search for the device. Once you see it, you can click on it. It would add it to the main screen. On the main screen, you could click on your device, and that would get you on the app's interface, and you would see the information of your particular system, the analytics, the history, maximum watts, maximum voltage, amperage, minimums, and all the information your heart desires. And now you've done it. You become the upgrader of your town. You can pat yourself on the back for a job well done. Don't forget, if you liked the video, please give us a thumbs up. That really helps. If you have any questions, place them in the comment section below. Either someone on the StatUpBox team or someone on the YouTube community can help you out with an answer. Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on social media. Thank you for watching, and here's a link to our latest video.